Hey everyone, and welcome to my craft room. My name's Julianne Richards and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in southern Tasmania. Thanks for joining me today, and thank you to everyone who purchased my May Fun Fold and No Stamp class, which is the video I'm doing for you today. So according to the tracking, the post tracking, you should all start receiving your kits at the moment, so you're probably all hanging out for the tutorial video to show you how to pop these little cards together. So these are the 3 cards you have purchased in this class. They're sort of really lovely and quite simple, even though they look like they could be a lot more complicated. I do point out that a few of you may have got a different combination of designer series paper and cardstock than the one I'm showing here. A few of you may have a blue version, so blue paper and blue cardstock with a little blue dragonfly, and others may have yellow. So it's just a matter of using the cardstock that comes in the packs. Obviously you get limited amount of each. Apologies for if you've got shadows in this one. I am recording this in the evening and excuse my volume. I'm recording this during the evening and the light has left me, so I'm trying to use as much artificial light as I possibly can, so I'll try not to make too many shadows as we go. It's a little bit tricky with the lighting I have at my disposal in the craft room, but anyway, hopefully it won't be too much of a hassle. Anyway, you'll see what I'm doing anyway, I'm sure. Okay, so we'll start with one of these cards. I thought we'd grab the dragonfly one first. I'm going to do all 3 cards in the one video, assuming that all my batteries go the distance. So I thought we'd do the dragonfly one first. It's a nice simple card. As I can say, this one is in a burgundy, sort of a lovely blue blackberry bliss colour, and this one I've got in my kit is the bumblebee version. So yeah, very nice, just a different emphasis with the paper. Okay, so in your kit, hopefully you've got everything you need. This is a good test for me because my publicity says all you need are adhesives and sentiments. So let's see if I can trust my own publicity. Okay, so another difference that a few of you may have, rather than the little ladybird that you can see on the original card, some of you may have this adorable little bee instead. But I think he's actually glorious. So, and it goes quite well with the different colours as well. So you may have that instead of the butterfly, the ladybug I mean. Also as well, some of you will have a dragonfly that is already punched out. So like this little guy here, it's a yellow dragonfly that I've already punched out. And some of you will have a piece of designer series paper with this particular little guy in the centre of it, which means you'll have to fussy cut him out. So again, it just depends on what cardstock I've had at my disposal to prepare the class. But they're quite nice. He's a little bit more lifelike, I think, and this little guy is sort of nicely already punched out for you, so you don't have to fussy cut, which I know some people don't like. Okay, so you've also got a piece of cardstock which matches your designer series paper. In this case, it's Bumblebee, but you may have Misty Moonlight or Blackberry Bliss. You've also got another card base. The actual card base for this card is a basic white card base, and I've popped it through the Dandelion embossing folder, which is the current product. It's really, really nice, and it goes really nicely with the bumblebees. So yeah, so I've popped that through the embossing folder for you, just to give your card that really lovely subtle dandelion appearance. Okay, so this one is just so simple. You grab your piece of designer series paper and with some glue or some snail adhesive, whatever you like, pop it on the back and put it hard up on the right hand side. Not hard up, you leave a small gap all the way around on the right hand side of your card base, your card folded card. So just like that, just sitting there down the side, just like that. Then also you need to turn your card base over pop some glue on the back, and then we're going to add that to the piece of cardstock that you've got. So that actually forms the cardstock, the coloured cardstock actually forms the back of your card, just like that. And already she's got glue everywhere. Not a good start. Okay, so there we are. So that's how that one actually sits up a bit like that, with the colour of the cardstock behind, which is really nice. It's quite undifferent. I don't know what you'd call that one. A top folding card or something like that. Anyway, so what you need to do then is grab a dimensional or a foam square, whatever you use at home. Pop it on the back of your little dragonfly friend. Now, if you have the one where you've just got you have to actually cut out the dragonfly, you need to fussy cut him out first. So I'm just going to pop him just there with a dimensional on the bottom, sort of towards the left hand bottom corner. Then all we need to do then is grab your sentiment box. Hopefully you've got one of those, and choose your sentiment. So for this one I'm using the Dragonfly Garden stamp set, and I'm going to use Thank You for Your Kindness, which is a lovely little sentiment. So grab your sentiment of your choice, some black ink, and stamp your sentiment box. Trying to get it straight. I can't quite get over the top of my... There we are, that's not too bad. Can't quite get over the top of my work with the camera in its current location. Okay, so that one's going to pop there on the bottom right hand corner of your card. So just grab some more dimensionals or foam squares. And pop him down that bottom right hand corner. There we are. So I haven't put anything on the rest of this card because I just love that embossing folder, and hopefully you'll love it too. Then what we're going to do is grab some glue or a foam, not a foam, but a glue dot or some just normal glue. Pop it on just on the sentiment box there, and bring in your little bee or butterfly or ladybug. So it's just going to pop in just there. You could put it on, depending on what sentiment you use. I've put it there because there's a nice gap, a nice space in the corner with the sentiment that I've used. If you haven't got that sort of, you've got a larger sentiment, pop your ladybug or your bee, you know, anywhere around the card that you like. You then also will have some bling, and we'll pop that around as well. So I'm going to pop with my take your pick tool, which is very handy, couldn't be without it. Just pop some bling around the card. Now you can pop another sentiment on the inside as well if you have one that you like, with the next part sentiment to that, or damp it with some flowers or something, whatever you happen to like. But there you are. There's the first card of our class. That was nice and quick, wasn't it? I don't know that I've put anything in my original either. No. So there's our first card of the class. That's really sort of top fold, extra back card. I'm not sure what you'd call it, but it's lovely. Okay, so that's card number 1. Hope you like that one. Okay, for the second card, we'll do this little cute one with the Pansy Patch dies. So it's a brand new die set from Stamping Up in the current 21-22 catalogue. It produces this glorious little pansy here. The stamp set's lovely as well, but the pansy is really a highlight, and you can use it to highlight your cards. So in your set you'll have the pansy that you can put together, obviously. Be very careful when you're taking all these cards out of their packs, because there will be little pieces in there that might fall on the floor if you're a bit rough and a bit reckless. In this case there's a little So Saffron flower centre there, which is like barely the size of your the top of your finger. So if you're a bit too excitable, you might drop that on the floor. So just be very careful. I'm just going to try and leave. Oh, there you go. Look what I've done. pop him back in the envelope for the minute, just to keep him safe. Okay, so in this card you have my normal size card base, which is 8 3/4 by 5, no, 8 1/4 by 5 3/4, scored in the middle. So what I've done as well is pop this card front through a really nice leafy floral embossing folder. And I can't remember the name of it, but it has retired, but it looked just perfect for this card. So any leafy or floral embossing folder that you've got would do just as well. And then I've cut out this circle here using the layered circle dies from Stamping Up. So you pop the, with using your die cut machine, you pop the circle through first and cut the hole, and then pop the rest of the card through the embossing machine. Don't do it the other way, because then if you emboss first, you'll flatten it down when you pop it through again to cut the circle. So cut the circle first and then pop it through your embossing folder. Then you've also got another slightly smaller card, looks like just a plain old card in Whisper White, and is actually 1/4 inch smaller than the original card base, and it's going to sit inside. It's going to sit inside, but it's also going to sit facing the opposite direction. So whereas in our normal card we have the spine down the left hand side, she says, checking her left and right hands, when you stick this in the card, you're going to put the spine or the fold, the score, down the right hand side. So when they open up like that. So that's sort of like a folder, as it really, isn't it? Yeah, anyway, so that's basically what this card is. So we might do that first. So grab your glue, position your, now just so make sure you put your glue on the right surface. You want to pop it onto when you open it up, you're popping it on the left hand back of the card, if that makes sense. So on the left hand back, pop your glue, and then position that over the back of your card base and glue it down. So same sort of gap all the way around, and that one pops in there. So as you see, you've got that sort of 3 panel view when you open it up completely like that. Okay, so then to add a little bit of interest, you've got a piece of designer series paper. So this is the designer series paper from the Pansy Patch bundle. It's really nice. It's got beautiful pansies on the other side as well. It's almost a shame to cover it up, but I do love these checks. Every time they produce a check for Stamping Up papers, I always grab extra supplies. So that's going to pop on that front facing face of your inside card, if that makes sense. Hopefully it might be good to watch this video before you plough in. So if you're trying to make the card and watch at the same time, might be a little bit tricky. So it's on the outside, there we go, and when it closes over you see the paper through the hole in the middle. There you go, just like that. Okay, so that's your card base basically made. So we might pop that aside for a minute and grab the components of our pansy. I'm sure I've got everything. Okay, so the pansy is cut from Blackberry Bliss. So the flower itself is a Blackberry Bliss flower. So you've got 2 of these sort of like triangular lobes type leaves, and then you've got this sort of main heart-shaped face. So what actually happens when you're putting this one together is you put those 2 together like that, and then this one comes in at the front, if that makes sense. So that's your standard sort of pansy that you see every day in the garden sort of look. So I just pop a little bit of glue on the back V of my pansy, just like that, and then bring in the other 2 leaves behind. Try to get them as symmetrical as you can, especially if you're a bit of a obsessed person when it comes to symmetry. Otherwise it's going to bother you for the rest of your life if you haven't got it symmetrical. That's not too bad, I can live with that. So there's the poppy sort of mostly what's the word, assembled. And you've got this little black sort of central part here just the sort of the centre of the poppy. They're often got a little dark patch on the inside. So just a little bit of glue there, and pop that in the centre there. Just like that. You can sort of see, you'll know when you look at yours, there's actually a little embossed sort of horseshoe shape, and you're actually aligning up the black part with the little horseshoe, and that's the right shape place for it there. So hopefully you can see that in this light. It's not too bad. Okay, so here, this is where we bring our tiny little flower centre in. So another little bit of glue just in the centre of that little black highlight piece, and we bring in our little teardrop shaped flower centre, and he just sits in there just like that. Okay, so that is our poppy assembled. Okay, so we'll bring back our card base, and the poppy is going to sit just in the little corner of that, well, circle. Circles don't have corners, but just in that, just pointing, just sort of peeking out there. Then we're going to bring in these leaves and just glue them in behind, just there. But before we do that, we might stamp our sentiment, and our sentiment is going to go, our sentiment's going to go on there. So on the check designer series paper, in the middle of that hole. So it's good to actually put your poppy down first, because then you can see that to get your sentiment to show nicely, you sort of have to bring it towards the top right hand corner. And again, circles don't have corners. Towards the top right hand side of your circle. So up here, sort of at about 2 o'clock, sort of on a watch face. If that's what, you can imagine that sort of between there to about 1 and 2 o'clock. So for the sentiment on this one, I'm going to use the happy birthday out of the actual Pansy Patch stamp set. It's a lovely, lovely simple happy birthday. And bring that in. I'm going to use my black ink. It's going okay so far, aren't I? Just adhesives and sentiments is all I've needed. I'm going to leave that happy birthday on the block because I'm going to use that for our final card as well. So just bring that, as I say, avoid your the bottom left hand side where your poppy is, where your pansy is, and put your sentiment there over the other side. Okay, so we're going to glue our pansy. I'm going to say poppy every time now. We're going to glue our pansy to the front of the card. So make sure you only add glue on the parts of the pansy that are actually going to touch the front of the card. So towards the bottom of the poppy is where the glue will go. Make sure you don't put any glue on these top bits, because then it was going to stick to the rest of your card, and we don't want that. So the glue will go just at the bottom. You could also put it on foam squares or something like that if you find that you'd like it to sit up a little bit. So just put the glue just on the bottom part where it's actually going to adhere to the card front. Here we are. That's right, like that position. And we'll bring in our leaves. So I'm going to pop the glue on the front of the leaves because I'm going to actually adhere them to the back of the... Oh, something's just gone on the floor. Don't know what that is. Hopefully nothing I need. So I just pop the glue to glue them to the back in that particular position. There we are. And a bit easier with these ones because they're actually 100% on the card base, so I'll just put glue on the back there. Nice and easy. There we are. Okay, I hope you like that. I think that's really sweet. Okay, so you will also have some bling in your envelope, and I did see mine, and that could be what's just fallen on the floor. Oh no, it's still in my envelope. So you've got some bling. It's champagne. It's either champagne bling or just plain rhinestones. I actually really love the champagne bling with this particular colour. And you can just pop that bling in that little hole there. Just like that. You can put it wherever you like, to be honest. To be honest, it's yours. You can put it inside or outside, wherever you want. But that's where I'm going to pop mine. Okay. So there we are. That's card number 2, all done. Oh, I've got a bit of glue there. Just be careful. A bit of too much glue on the bottom there, and it's oozed out. So just be careful with that. Maybe leave it open until it dries, because you don't want it to glue shut and not be able to open it up. Okay, as I say, you can then pop another sentiment on the inside if you want. Maybe stamp it with some flowers, whatever you happen to have handy that you love. But I think that's really, really sweet. Okay, so that's card number 2. Absolutely flying through these tonight. I'm hoping my battery's going to last okay. It seems to be. Okay, 3rd card, and I have left this one to last for a reason. It's probably the most complicated, well, not complicated, most involved of the 3 that we've done for this, that I've done for this course. It's really, really my favourite as well, and I've got to thank the wonderful Jan Casey for letting me borrow her design with this beautiful Hydrangea Hill designer series paper, which we've used now. The designer series paper, the Hydrangea Hill designer series paper, if you fall in love with it as a result of making this card, is only available to the 30th of June. So jump on if you love it, grab it as quickly as you can, because it will not be here with us post 30 June. Okay, so your card kit for this one looks a bit plain at the front. This is what it looks like. You've got all your little punched out pieces of designer series paper. If you're wondering, those pieces of paper have been punched out with the tailored tags punch, which is available ongoing. It's a sort of a stock item that's there available. You've also got the gorgeous grape ribbon, which is also available ongoing, and the little pearl, which is ongoing as well. What else have you got? Oh, and the shiny paper you can see there is the acetate that goes with the Hydrangea Haven collection, and it also is only available to the 30th of June. So grab them if you love them, or else they will be gone. Okay, so again, be careful. You've got a little pearl there that's going to fall out, I'm sure. And you should have 12 segments of paper, designer series paper. So they've got a couple of the acetate, a couple of plain Highland Heather, and then various other ones of the designer series paper. So what I need you to do is grab out this stripy one and pop that aside, separate from the others, plus the 2 acetate ones. Put them separate as well. And the reason I want to put them separate is because I want them to be highlighted on the card so that they can be seen. Now, the one with the stripes is the one that we're going to be stamping our sentiment on. So we want that to be in a very specific position on the card. So what I suggest you do is position it, sort of keep it on there, just to remind yourself that that's where we want that one. Don't glue it down to start with, because we're going to run the ribbon underneath it. But it's the last one you're going to glue down, but it's probably the most important one in the whole card. Okay, so just pick random, just sort of mix it up whichever way you like, and just sort of put it all together like a bit of a jigsaw puzzle. So I tend to start in the centre, so I've just picked another random piece of designer series paper. Line it all up with your grid paper so that you know you're roughly straight. I mean, nothing's ever 100%. That's what hard handmade cards are about. So put it roughly in the centre, straight as you can. Line it up with your grid paper so you know you're sort of straight there. And that's what we're going to put that one. Then this one with the stripe, put it immediately there to the bottom right hand side of your initial piece there. So that's where that one's going to live. Then I want to make sure that I also feature these acetate ones in their full, without trimming them down. So I'm going to position one there and one there. So we're just sort of putting them in place at the moment so we can get a sort of an idea of a pattern that we like, and we can make sure that we're straight. So between each piece you leave a gap of about 2 millimeters, maybe 1/8 of an inch, but 2 millimeters, just so you can see the black peek through. All these papers have lovely sort of back ends or back sides, so you can turn them over and use them as well if you like. If you think you could do with a bit of that sort of one, or the flowers, go for that as well. Okay, so these ones, I'm just going to pop them all in. I haven't glued anything yet. I'm just getting an idea of what I like. Now, you're going to have ones that obviously overlap, and you're going to have gaps where only a partial piece of designer series paper will go. So the idea is that we eventually trim the edges off and use the bits we trim off to fill the holes that we've made. That's the theory anyway. Okay, so you should basically get most of them filled in, but you may have to use a couple of half ones here and there just to fill it out a bit. Okay, just like that. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with that configuration. I might actually move everything aside now and start actually gluing it down. So after all that effort, just bring them off. And again, we're going to start with our centre piece. So just some glue on the back of him. Again, might put on as central as you can with your grid paper so you can gauge, and pop him down. Here we are. Okay, leaving that one unglued, but that's the position it's going to go in. As I say, we're going to be bringing our ribbon in soon, but it's best to have it there just so you know that that gap's already spoken for. So then we're going to bring in our lovely acetate. Pop that to the top right hand corner. Line it up with the gap of, I said, about a couple of millimeters or 1/8 of an inch. Okay, then I'm going to bring the other one in. Now you can see the glue, if you're using Stampin' Up! Glue, you can see the glue through the holes in the acetate while it's wet. That will dry clear and you won't see the glue once it's dry. The glue's a bit slack there. Okay, so you can see you're building up sort of a very strange looking brick wall, so to speak. Okay, so this one's going to go in there, but it's, as you can see, it's going to be sort of partially off. That one hasn't. It's going to be partially off the edge, so we won't put glue on the whole thing. That's better. We won't put glue on the whole thing, we'll just put glue on 3/4 of it. There we are. And we just keeping sort of layering it up as we go. I'm going to pop that one there. So again, it's going to be off the edge, so don't put glue all the way. Just estimate how much glue you need and stick to that. Just won't make a difference if you have a little bit too much glue, but if you have too much, it's just going to have a awful gluggy mess. We don't want that. That's nothing worse to put you off your card making than an awful gluey mess. Okay, you might find it easier when we get to these little part ones to actually add the glue to the card base itself, just roughly in the area you're looking at, and then bring your piece back. Don't worry at the moment that we're overlapping the edge. So we're going to come back with our trimmer. Once it's all dry and we're happy with the pattern, we're going to come in with our trimmer and trim those off. Trim the edges off, I mean. Okay. Just keep going like this. Oop, too much glue there. That's so unlike me. There we are. Okay, so that's all the pieces. Is that 12? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep, that's 12 pieces of cardstock there that I've popped in there. Okay, with this one, it's in position, but it's still loose. So you can, now we've done that, you know, and you probably just leave it there. Now the next part of this, you probably need to wait for the card to be dry, for the glue to be dry. So if you've used snail or something like that, you're right to go straight away. If not, it's just a little bit funny edge of that that's going to annoy me. Trim that off. So my punch hasn't quite punched cleanly. Okay, so you might wait for that to dry before you go to the next step, because the next step will actually be to trim off those overlapping bits. So you can use scissors if you have a good pair of scissors that you like. You can use your trimmer, or you can use, if you've got like a guillotine or something, you can use that. And I'm going to use my favourite guillotine to do that. So be very careful cutting these off, because you do want to use the bits that are left over to fill in the gaps that you've still got on the card front. So I'm just lining that up. Trim them. Be careful this end here, don't go too close, because you don't want to cut the card itself, and then you'll end up with nothing to show for it. You'll just end up with an open card. I might go in there with just a piece of cardstock. So don't cut the score line is what I'm trying to say. Not very successfully. So make sure you keep all your bits. As I say, we're going to use those to fill in any gaps that we have on the front. And as I said as well, probably best to wait till it's partially dry so that they don't move when you're cutting. Okay, we're getting there, aren't we? That looks really good. Move my guillotine away. Okay, so we've got our stripy piece, which is the one that's going to go in there. But what does that mean we need to fill in with other pieces? That moved. That was silly. I should have waited a bit longer. That one moved a bit. But anyway, it's all good. Oh, there's one I haven't used at all. We can definitely use that. Okay, so we want a little piece here and a little piece there. So you've probably got the same thing with your card. So we've got a little piece that we just cut off somewhere else. We can pop that in there. And then we've got another little piece that we can pop in over here. Okay, that's pretty cool. What else have we got? Well, I might do that now. So if you are a big lover of jigsaws, this card's going to be easy for you. And if you're like me, you get glue everywhere, you may not like it so much. There we are. As you can see, this one was definitely the slowest of the 3 cards that we've done for today. Okay, so what else do we have that we need? We need another piece down here, and I think that's probably pretty good there. Okay, so we'll pop that piece in there. One has disappointed me because it's actually moved a little bit when I cut it. So there's your warning, people. Wait till it's dry. So he's actually moved a little bit. Well, it's a bit hard to line him up with his neighbour. But anyway, that's good. That'll be fine. Okay, what else do we need to fill in? We've got a little piece there. Oh, we might pop that in there. We are going to have to trim these again once we've done, because we're going to have to trim these little filler bits as well. Okay, what else? There we go. Look, that looks like it was practically made for it. I think because it's a symmetrical design, they actually do fit quite well if you've lined them up properly. Now, he's actually a little bit small. What about this one here that we actually, I forgot, must have fallen off the table. We'll pop him there. Now, if Jen Casey's watching this video, because I know she bought this class, even though I told her it was her card we were doing, she'll probably say, oh, there's a much easier way of doing that. So Jan, if you'd like to pop in the comments that's an easier way of doing it, please do so. Always want to learn. So, and that last piece, that's the last little hole. Got a last little corner piece here, and there you are. Now, if you find that difficult to sort of fit those little jigsaw puzzle pieces in, and you have the cardstock, you have the designer series paper, you could probably just cut yourself another couple of pieces the right size and pop those in. But as I say, we've done with our 12 pieces, we've got ample there to fill in our little spaces all around. Okay, so one last trim, and this time I might just use my scissors because we don't want to necessarily save the offcuts. But you could use your trimmer or your guillotine again. Yeah. And there we are. We have our beautiful hydrangea Haven card front there. Just going to get rid of these sticky offcuts over to this edge a bit. So this leaves our final one, which is the one that's going to sit there, that we need to stamp our sentiment on. So again, I'm going to use the Happy Birthday from the Pansy set because I know it fits really well and everyone always needs lots of Happy Birthday cards. So just because we're using the stripy one, you can line it up really easily just line it up with the lines there, so there's every opportunity of stamping straight, which I sort of have, but anyway, that's fine. And then this one's going to sit on the front there like that. But before we do that, we're going to bring in our ribbon. So the difference with this one is that the ribbon actually goes over the top of all these other ones, but it actually sits underneath that particular segment. That's what we do with this one. It's slightly different to the other designs I've seen. I've just lost a bit of my light. Come back, light. Okay, so to tie this ribbon we need to put a bow in it. So as much as I love you all, I haven't given you enough ribbon to go all the way around and tie a bow, because that would be just far too much ribbon. So what I suggest you do is grab a ink pad or something that's sort of 5, 6, 7 centimetres wide. Grab your ribbon. We'll go that way maybe. Yeah, I'll go that way. So probably 10 centimetres wide. Grab your ribbon, bring it in and tie a bow. Okay, so tie your bow here. Let's hope I can. I won't make a fool of myself. Yeah, I may make a fool of myself. I'm going to take it actually the narrow way, just so I can tie the ribbon, tie the bow I mean. All fingers and thumbs when it comes to bows sometimes. Okay, good. All right, so you tie that bow. Okay, then what you need to do, our bow is going to go on this part here, so just on there. So what we need to do is cut the ribbon at the back so that we leave probably an inch, maybe a couple of inches to the left hand side of the ribbon. So there's your ribbon, to the left hand side of your ribbon, cut so you leave about 2 inches. Yeah. Okay, so then you've got sort of a bow with sort of a fair bit of allowance either way, and then that you're going to do is feed that on either side of your card and fold it under and glue it down. So if that makes sense, watch this video a couple of times before you do it, obviously, because I haven't explained that overly well. Okay, so take that. Then what I'm going to do is get some double-sided tape or a glue dot or something. Double-sided tape somewhere. Here we go. Open our card up. Pop the double-sided tape roughly where we want the ribbon. And I've just had a thought about the failure of this design. Let's see what we do. Feed your ribbon. Don't let it stick to your paper with the double-sided tape. Feed your ribbon around the back. There we go. Here we go. There we are. So your ribbon is across the edge. I haven't got that overly straight there. It should be straight. Okay, so it's like that. So it feeds over the top and around and it's stuck at the back there with the double-sided tape. Okay, and now what we need to do is, you've got in your kit, you've also got a piece of Whisper White, Basic White, and a piece of what's this one, Highland Heather. Actually, stick the Highland Heather panel, which is different to my original design, but I've realised that now I've made that very sticky on the back there and it's not going to work. Cover that over with a panel of Highland Heather on the top. Apologies for that, I'm a terrible design, I haven't thought about that at all. But anyway, if you pop a piece of design, or if you have a piece, some white of your own that you could cut and pop there, that would protect the rest of the card from that double-sided tape. But this way is just as good. Just pop a panel of Highland Heather there, and then it won't be sticky and you won't stick to the card when you close it up. Then you've got your panel of Whisper White that you can pop on the other side for your for writing your message or your sentiment, your other sentiment. Okay, just like that. Okay, so that works okay. That's fine. That's not going to stick to it when it opens and closes the card. Okay, so we've got our little bow. You can play with, once you've got it in place, you can actually play with your bow a bit more. Once you've got it sort of secured, you can play with your bow a little bit, or even try and retie it if you're brave once it's actually in place. Okay, so last stage is we bring back our piece of designer series paper that we've added our sentiment to. Now, on the original card, I have actually glued that down, and I thought you could do that quite easily and it looks fine. I thought with this other one I might actually try and pop it on dimensionals just to give it a bit of height, just to highlight it, in the design a bit. It's up to you. You can decide what you want to do. But you will have to put dimensionals, a fair few dimensionals, because you want to avoid the ribbon. We need to give it security around the ribbon, I should say. So use probably 4, probably a few more, so you can actually stick it to the cardstock and the ribbon, if that makes sense. So keep your ribbon in place, bring in your little segment and position it there. Yeah, I like that too. So it's really up to you. Put it on dimensionals there, or just glue it straight to the card base. Really up to you, but I think I actually like it on dimensionals better. It helps it to pop out as well as hides the bump of the ribbon underneath. Okay, so you've also got one pearl embellishment. It's in the gorgeous grape, and you pop that just on there as well. Okay, so there it is, card number 3 of our Fun Fold No Stamp class. So I love that. That is just really lovely. I love the colours, I love the ribbon, I just love it all. Anyway, so hopefully you do too. Okay, as I said, protect your card by putting that panel of Highland Heather on the back there so it doesn't get sticky and stick to the rest of the card. Yeah, so that will be fine. And then you've got this one here for your writing, your personal message. Okay, so hopefully that one goes well for you. Let me know if it doesn't, and we can work something out. But anyway, so that's card number 3 of our Fun Fold class for May. Anyway, so I hope you enjoy that one. Hope you enjoy all those cards. They are very pretty. I tend to really enjoy designing these ones. So there's our 3 cards. I'll use the yellow one because it's the one I've made today. Okay, there's our 3 cards that we did today. That's the May class. So thanks for joining me. Thanks for buying the class. And hopefully you will come back and try some more of my classes in the future. Okay, thanks everyone.